Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Next Level Teaching. I'm your host, Jeremy Anderson, here with my super dope co-host, Miss Tori Rodriguez, a.k.a. T-Rod.
Hey, Jeremy. How are you today?
Man, I'm amazing. How you feeling?
I am doing good today.
Yes.
I am super excited because we have another amazing guest with us today. We have Miss Valerie Lewis.
Yep.
But before we get into introducing Valerie,
Yes.
why don't you let the people know who we are here at Next Level Teaching Podcast.
Yeah, so look, we're a bunch of goofy, regular people. We love education. We love teaching. We love helping to breathe life into educators. I get to train and work with educators all across the country. And at this podcast, we want you to do three things, Val. We want people to laugh, we want them to learn, and we want them to live their best life, right? So you're going to get some laughter because I'm pretty funny, but she's pretty goofy. You know what I'm saying?
Accurate.
But no, we're silly. We like to have a good time. So we're going to laugh. It's good for the soul. We want you to learn something new. She's got a lot to share, and we want you to live your best life in and out the classroom. And that's what this podcast is all about. So we want all of our people that's listening out here in the world to do us a favor. We come together every week. We put together some great resources to build the studio to provide the best content. All we ask for is you to give us a rating and a review. Let us know how we're doing. Oh, yeah, 5-star would be sweet. Let me be clear. If you're not too happy with us, though, if you a hater, then you can leave the reviews alone. But if you feeling and you picking up what we putting down, it'd be great if you left us a 5-star review and let us know how we're doing.
Well, and let us know what more you'd like to hear from us as well. I think that that's super important, talking about like the haters not loving what they want to hear. Okay, well then instead of just hating on it, then let us know what you want to hear from us and how we can better serve you as educators out there.
Absolutely.
So I want to let everyone listening know about our amazing guest we have today. So we have, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Valerie Lewis in the house, and she has been working in education for 20 years.
Wow.
And bless her, she started in elementary. Ooh.
Wow.
Y'all know how I feel about that. Sorry. And then she went to high school. So she made like a big jump,
You just took that leap.
Yep.
Went with it.
Wow.
And she is now an administrator in high schools. She has taught in Miami, Maryland, and here in Georgia. So girl has seen a whole bunch of different systems, which I think is super awesome to hear and important because I know a lot of our guests are coming from here in Georgia. And so I think it's important for our listeners to know that just because you're not from Georgia, we still have people that see you and know what you're working with in the different places that you've been in. And she has also had the opportunity to work for the Jeremy Anderson Group. So Jeremy, since that's your baby, why don't you talk to us about what Valerie has been doing in the Jeremy Anderson Group?
Right. So to our listeners out there, when we created our first character curriculum, it aligns perfectly with PBIS and social emotional learning, right? We knew we needed something for the kids. Well, when I wrote the first one, it was more so for middle school, high school kids. But I had a superintendent, Dr. Jody Duran in Elgin, Texas, say, Jeremy, we need something for every grade level. And I'm thinking like, I don't have time, but I felt like the creator was like, but you have a team. You have some amazing, aspiring, top flight educators put together a super team. And so Valerie was so amazing. She helped us with our 11th grade curriculum book and spearheaded that and took that thing to a whole nother level. So when we knew that it was time to bring on some more guests, I'm like, we got to bring Val on because she's definitely got something to say.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then we go back, like most people might not know this, but me and your husband, that's my boy, that's my dog. Let me tell you something. When we were in college, we got into so much trouble our freshman year. Xavier Zay.
Tell me.
Confessions of a Knucklehead.
Yes, write that book.
Me and Zay and Todd and Wes and Chris, we got into so much trouble on the campus of Oakwood College, now university, just being goofy and just, I'm glad he not here. Because your hubby would have some embarrassing stories. They wouldn't book me to speak at no more schools. But anyway, he married this beautiful soul, and we're so glad to be partnering with you, and we're glad to have you on today.
Absolutely. Thank you once again. I appreciate it. I'm excited about the work that you guys are doing, taking teaching to the next level, because that's really what it's about.
That's right.
It can't be the same. It can't be stagnant. Every day is a new transition, and so I'm definitely on this roller coaster ride to higher heights.
Nice.
Amazing.
Well, we've got a bunch of questions for you. You ready?
Ready.
All right. You want to fire away the first one?
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
So Jeremy obviously has known you for a while now, so I really want to know more about your story. I want to know really like when you wanted to become an educator and like what made you decide to become a teacher.
And let me tell you why we ask that.
Yeah.
Because we feel like to be an educator or a teacher today, it's a calling. You got to be called and a little crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So tell us how you got to this place.
Well, I think for me, definitely it was a calling. I was that kid at church that had everyone's kids. I was the kid in the neighborhood. We used to live in an apartment building growing up in Miami, Florida, dead smack Little Haiti.
Wow.
And I would come home every day from school with all the books, the things that I had just learned, call all the kids in the apartment building, and I was the teacher. Nobody else got a chance to be the teacher. It was going to be me. And so that just continued. It was just a natural thing. My mom always thought, no, you need to be a doctor, you need to be a lawyer, because, when you're dealing with West Indians, those are the only two professions that you need to be. Doctors and lawyers. Teachers not going to make any money. But I was steadfast. It was just a natural thing. Bring me all the babies, bring me all the kids in the neighborhood. The reproducible workbooks, I was asking the teacher, do you have extras? Because I knew that's what I was going to do. And so it's just been the one thing that I've always, just stuck to. And that matriculated. My kindergarten teachers were a big impact on that. They were beautiful Black women that I just admired so much. And so I was like, I want to be like them. If Miss Kimbrough can teach and Miss Villa can teach, I can teach. I definitely want to do this. And so I have never veered from teaching. I knew it was a calling on my life, and here I am today.
Wow. So with that, it's funny because it just came natural.
Yeah.
So typically when I hear about people, Tori, who say, hey, all the kids gravitated towards me, typically that's someone that grew up in a large family and they were like the oldest. So like those leadership or coachability skills was already there. Were you an only child? Did you come from a big family? Like, what was that dynamic like?
Not the only child, only girl, and I was the baby. But there's 10 years difference between me and the middle.
Okay.
So it's almost like growing up as the only child. And so definitely I had to find my friends and other, people to do, because my brothers, they growing up in the 80s, they were off with the boys, they're out in the streets. So it was just really me and mom, single family home. Dad wasn't present. And so I had to occupy myself, and school was just something I really enjoyed and learning. And so because I enjoyed it so much, I was just natural at passing that on to other kids.
Amazing. Yeah. So tell us this. You have a natural love for it. You're naturally connected, tied in with the folks.
Yeah.
So there's a purity there, but we're not perfect.
No.
And things can make us mad. We can get upset. We can get a little risky. Tell us about that one kid that almost made you say, you know what? I can't take this no more. Like, that's a wrap. Like, tell us about that one kid that, like, straight drove you crazy.
Well, there's never just one. It's really about identifying those characteristic traits. That kid that comes into the classroom and decides this is about to be my house. And you have to remind them,
Welcome to my house.
And so you have to be the one to tell them, oh, I'm going to be the one to check you, boo.
Straight up.
And so,
boo.
yes.
She put boo in there.
That's what I said,
yes,
too.
that's
I'ma
exactly,
check you, boo.
I'm going to check you, boo. And so it's that quality of not wanting to do. And I think those kids that push you to the edge, it's not because you despise or you don't like that kid. You just cannot understand why they don't see the opportunities that's before them. And so when that becomes so frustrating to you, you are all up and down their backside. And that's the kid that you ride, not because you want to make life miserable for them, but I'm not about to let you ruin the opportunities that lie ahead. So it's not just one kid, but it's that kid who doesn't even understand their potential, and you're doing everything. They decide, I'm going to come to class because I want to be a class clown. But then that's where you as an educator have to be intuitive. Why are they clowning?
Yeah.
Is it a reading deficit? Is it math? Are they hungry? Something going on in the home? Are they being beat? And so I think we have to remember the human heart as teachers, and it can't just be just the dedication to, I got to get through this curriculum in this moment. Sometimes you got to take a step back, and you have to be flexible. That learning is going to happen regardless. It makes no sense for me to keep teaching if that kid's not even listening, because the learning's not happening. So if there's no teaching and learning, it's not a productive day anyways. So take the time out and pour into them.
So let me ask you this from an administrator standpoint, because that's something that I feel like as a teacher I have struggled with. And I think my fear, especially in the system that we work in now, where it is so curriculum and test driven, let's be honest, as a system. And I think so many teachers, don't enjoy it because we know the students don't enjoy it. And we just let us teach, right? So from an administrator standpoint, how do you allow that to happen within the teachers that you oversee, allowing them to have that grace of, okay, like, yes, we know that there has to be curriculum taught within the classroom, but we also have to have this social, emotional connection with students, and we have to make sure that they, like you said, are in a place to learn.
Absolutely. So it starts with building relationships. That's the foundation. Regardless of a
There we go.
curriculum mandate, regardless of assessments, it has to be about building relationships. If the kids don't feel like they can even talk to you and trust you, nothing's happening regardless. And so as an administrator, I have to remind, and I have to function in a place of knowing that I'm there to support teachers. And I have to remind them that they have the autonomy. Now, we definitely know that there is a pacing guide, but okay, if you're off one day, so to speak, that's okay. Now, that varies. I'm that administrator. I can't speak for all others because first and foremost, we are humans. You know, there are those, they pulling out the whip. Oh no, but I can only speak for me. So my teachers understand there is an expectation, but they also understand that I'm going to provide grace. And so,
That's good.
if that kid is off, send them to my office if you need to.
Right, I'll give you a break.
Yeah, what do you need?
But see, you have a refreshing mindset to it. Like, your approach is more so like, I'm here to support you.
Right.
I'm here to help serve you.
That's right.
Right? As opposed to, I'm the authority. You do this, you do this, you do this.
Yeah.
And so I imagine if you were to go back to the classroom, would you agree that you would probably be an even better teacher because you've been on the other side? So you have a better
Absolutely.
vantage point of how it is for an administrator. Like, speak to that.
Absolutely. So it's always, or let me not say always, that's too absolute. There's always, here I go again with the
Right.
always.
Oftentimes.
There's the us versus them.
Right.
Versus us being a team. So teachers kind of look at it as, oh no, here comes administration. And it should never be that feel. I mean, because we're all in the business of helping students learn. So when you get into that mindset, it's us versus them, then you're definitely going to have that division. I'm not big on titles.
Right.
I don't showboat those titles. And so definitely I think I always approach those teachers, what can I do? What needs to happen? And they understand that they can come. Today is just an off day. If I'm there to do an evaluation, is it a good day? No. All right, I'm out the door.
Right.
So I
Wow.
think when we can
That's
get
good.
to the place where we can just realize we're all in this together and there's not that separation of I'm just a teacher, here's my authority,
Yeah.
then I think we can start having some better communication, feel better supported. Those teachers are going to now give you their best because they understand the weight of the world is not just on my shoulders, but I understand I could divvy this weight. I'm going to take some because I'm front and center, the soldier in the classroom, but I understand you're going to carry what's remaining for me. And so they perform better when they know that.
And I think that I'll say I feel like I've been very blessed with the administration that I have had over my years of teaching. I have always felt like my administrators were there backing me, and I had like personal relationships with them where I could go in and talk about things that I was dealing with so that they would understand, okay, if maybe I let some of my problems snap out in the classroom one day, their understanding of why as well. And I think that that's so important. And I think that like having that personal relationship between teachers and the administration is essential in order to serve students best.
Absolutely.
Because if there's not, and there's a disconnect between administration and teachers,
The students suffer.
That's right.
They
That's
truly are going to. And so I appreciate the fact that you are truly there to support your teachers and support your students and able to take some of that load off at times.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it is that personal relationship that does help. Like, they have my cell phone number. They can hit me up at any time. The conversations are not always educationally driven. It's how's the family? I know your husband's sick. What's going on with him? What do you need?
That goes a long way.
Goes a long way. I'm going to give you some flex time today. Just take a half a day. I'll get somebody to cover your 4 periods. It's having that open door policy. It's also making sure that they can go to their kids' play down the
Yeah.
street for one period.
Yeah.
Because most of our teachers, their kids are in our cluster. So if there's a school play going on, no, you don't need to be up in here. Go
Yeah.
support your baby.
Yeah,
We
just come
got it.
back, please.
Yeah, come back. Absolutely.
Don't go to happy
Sign
hours, huh?
out because we're gonna be checking that sign in. Sign. So but then they understand you working with them. Then they're doing their part, and so yes, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's good. So we know about the ones that can drive you crazy. In case a teacher out here needs a word of encouragement, right? Maybe they're listening to this when the year started. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do with this COVID thing. It's crazy. They need a word of encouragement. Tell us about that one kid that captured your heart. That one kid that has you looking for the Kleenex, like, this is why I do what I do.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So outside of the classroom, I'll speak right now just in an administrative lens. There are some students, which is why I went into special education, that I recognize school was a struggle for them. And so those kids, as a group, as a collective, captured my heart because
Yeah.
people were too busy focusing on their Lexile scores.
Come on.
But I said, but you fail to realize these kids are creatively geniuses. They are the most artistic kids. They are the most creative. If you said put a poem, I say, hey, pull out that phone,
Straight up.
find you a beat.
Straight up.
Here's the themes that I want you to write, and I could teach the concept to that. That kid who hated reading, well, you're into fashion. Let's start your blog post. Create a blog post through Blogger. And I want you to be the classroom expert on everything fashion.
good.
Cite your sources. And so when I think about the kids that have captured my heart, it's those kids that feel like they need to prove that they're just as smart as everyone else based on society's definition of smart, which is a standardized score. So those are the kids that I ride the hardest for, and those are the kids that when they're walking across that stage at graduation, I'm like, see,
Yes.
there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
And that's it. And now the world is at your fingertips. So it's
love
that
it.
kid who doesn't give up on themselves
Yeah.
because I'm definitely not giving up on
I
them.
love it.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I hear you talking about this in such a beautiful way
Yeah.
where I hear you saying you're learning about them.
Yeah.
And you're learning that they are artistic, that they are into fashion, that they are into sports or whatever it is, and you're honing in on that and teaching the curriculum through that.
Yes.
And I think that that is so important. And I think personally, even especially as a math teacher, I'm like, well, how do I do that? Right. But I think we have to find that. So can you talk to that a little bit more about how do you take their strengths and make it work for the curriculum?
Absolutely.
Because a lot of educators today, they're like, I can break this English down, or I can break down this history, this world lit, but I'm having a hard time connecting with you. So, like, that's
Absolutely.
good.
So if you're just focusing on breaking down the curriculum and just teaching the curriculum and you're not really thinking about the kids, then you've missed a big component.
Yeah.
It's not relevant and it's not meaningful. So in order for learning to happen, I have to be able to see the relevancy. That's why you have 3 and 4 year olds always asking you what?
Why?
That's the bottom line.
I'm about to name my daughter why.
See what I'm
Changing
saying?
her name from Jewel to why.
12-year-olds.
That's
Not
it.
even 3 and 4 year olds.
So if you're sitting there just steady breaking something down, you're just regurgitating, you're just repeating. Now you are getting frustrated because they aren't picking it up. So you have to figure out why. Why does this history matter? And you teach to that standpoint, and then you can't do it alone. So I'm a language arts teacher, but I understand language arts pairs very well with social studies. So guess whose hallway I'm in all the time? Hey, what y'all teaching over there? Okay, how can I apply that? Because I know y'all have to do some writing in language arts. Language arts is not just a writing for me. It's supposed to be across the board. Literacy is across the board. So you're collaborating with people and then finding those ways to hone in that relevancy for kids.
I would call that cross-connection learning.
Yep. Or cross-curricular.
Yeah.
Cross curriculum, because it's like, okay, this what you're doing. Okay, well, I'm gonna tie it into this here, and I'm gonna have them write about the philosophy that you just taught,
Yep.
or I'm gonna have them create a song or a painting about
it.
the person that they just studied about.
Because you have to tap into
rich.
their intelligences. You know,
Yeah.
some kids are visual learners, and I know we were joking earlier. We said Jeremy needs his accommodations. He needed things color coded.
Yeah.
Well, if I know that about Jeremy, then why wouldn't I teach to
Absolutely.
that,
Yeah.
what he needs. And so that's where the differentiation comes from. And some teachers don't want to carry that load because it is a lot to try to figure out, what do you need? What do you need? Now I feel like I'm working overtime, but if we're in this to help kids win,
Right.
teaching is never easy, regardless of what society says. It's
Yeah.
not
No,
an
no, no,
easy
no.
task.
You got different personalities,
Yeah.
different learning styles. They come from different backgrounds.
right.
And then one could have had breakfast this morning, and one person could not. And you're going to get a
Exactly.
completely different
There
response
you go.
because of
They
that.
hangry.
Yeah.
Coming in crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm an adult and I still get hangry.
That's
Yeah.
I be
right.
not in the spirit. My wife be like, you need to go eat something. I be like,
Yeah.
give me some bread. Let's take a break.
Yeah,
Go
let's
for
take
it.
a break.
Yep.
So our take a break segment, we've got two different questions that kind of fit hand in hand. So the first one is, tell us about your almost breaking point. So you obviously haven't broken. You're still here with us. So tell us about that moment, or maybe just one of those moments where you felt like, I'm done.
Yeah, it would be the moment for me was when education started to become mundane.
Yeah.
And so I knew what my gifts were. I was confident in that, but then I was just ready to walk away. I didn't know where or what other profession I would go to, but it was just the redundancy of things, and probably what teachers are experiencing today, just teaching to the curriculum, teaching tests, and after a while it just gets boring.
Yeah.
And so I had to find another space of educators that they were going to the next level, so to speak. And so I fell into ed tech. And that ed tech space was a whole completely different set of teachers, their mindset and what they wanted to do. And so for me, that brought me back into the fold. And that's when I kind of got connected on Twitter, Voxer, and finding educators all across the globe.
Yeah,
and so, and so my breaking point was truly, when it was just like, doing this again. And then I was up against some things. I was, one specific time was I was appointed department chair for special education. So I was facing some race issues at that point.
Right.
She is not about to be telling us what to do. They want to bring their friends, and my friends should have gotten that position. And so I was up against some challenges as an African American female leading a majority Caucasian group. And so when I saw the scheming and the plotting, I was just like, look.
I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, I didn't sign up for this. I mean, they almost caught 305 real quick. I was like, because please don't let me have to go Dade County. So instead of going Dade County and choosing that route, I just had to push the transfer button and transfer to another school at that point. And so that for me would have been a breaking point had I folded. But God made a way because some of those same people that tried to take me down, he took them out.
Come on.
He took them out. And so, and here I am today.
I read this quote one time. It said that he'll make your enemies your footstools.
Footstools, and he did that.
Yeah,
he
that's
did.
deep.
He did.
Yeah.
So lucky for them, I didn't have to go 305.
Yeah,
He
don't
handled
go
that
305.
battle. He
Keep it
handled that
770.
battle.
Keep
Yes.
it 404.
Yeah, but that almost took me out of education because it was like you realize people don't respect your qualifications, and they were only judging you based off of, well, I just don't want to, and that's not good enough in education because it's not about you as the adults. It's about who's going to give these kids the best opportunity.
That's
Not
good.
because such and such is married to your in-law, so your in-law needs to be in the class. So that kind of foolishness, I was over it.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when some teachers, when we interview them, they say, okay, my almost breaking point was a student, but we've had a lot that tell us over the time that I've been able to work with different teachers, it's like the kids is cool.
It's the system.
admin. The system is what drives me crazy.
Because people don't leave the job, they leave the people.
Yeah, that's true.
Tell us about, so this segment, take a break. Tell us about that breakthrough that you got. Is there a particular kid that you felt like you just, beginning of the school year, you thinking like, I don't know.
It ain't gonna happen.
This ain't gonna happen.
Not today.
Yep.
Absolutely. I won't name, that particular student,
That's wise.
but definitely he was the one that I finally got through to, and that was me and Mom being a tag team. He would pretty
this is
much
good.
pit her again, oh, no, you don't know. This is what's happening here. And then he would go home and tell her a different version. So he thought he was playing good cop versus bad cop. I said, oh, okay, all right. We're going to work on that. Called mom up, and she said, no, that's not what he told me. Because mom was ready, coming with guns blazing. Oh, she was coming for my jugular.
Straight up.
And it was like, no, let me tell you. Let me break it down to you. And so when she realized, oh, her son was running game, now she was on speed dial right in the
That's
classroom.
my favorite.
Yes.
good.
So he was like, oh, man. He's like, but Miss Lewis, why you got to? Yep. That's what it is. And so for him, he turned it all around.
Yep.
And he graduated, and so he was my breakthrough student, to be particular, and there are many others like that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's
It's,
good.
you know.
I remember I was doing some professional development with a school in Kentucky. They were a priority school, so they were like the top, like 5 or the bottom 5 in the whole state. And I remember when I was doing one of the training segments, is I was telling them, I said, the challenge with a lot of the teachers, they were like, the parents give us such a hard time. And I'm like, the reason is there's no relationship.
Yeah.
The first time that they hear from you is when you call in to complain
Yeah.
about Shauna. But if you notice Shauna got a little attitude problem and she be bucking, how about you go be ahead of the curve
Yeah.
and get Shauna's mama's number? Hey, Miss Smith. Hey, no, everything's fine.
Yep.
I just want to introduce myself. I'm Mr. Anderson.
Yeah.
I'm noticing some leadership qualities
Yes.
in your daughter,
Yes.
and I'm committed to her success. And I just want to let you know that I'm gonna be here throughout this journey. I would love that we can keep the lines of communication open.
Absolutely.
Then when something you like, okay, now I gotta address this. I'm gonna call your mom. Now she ain't like, well, what you said 1st. Now she knows because there's been a connection.
Yeah.
And this teacher not just trying to be petty. This teacher actually does care because they actually called me to talk some positive things about
right.
you. But now they're telling me some areas you got to work on.
That's right, because if
Yep.
that teacher didn't care, they could just let you sit,
Yep.
fail,
trying to tell
wallow,
you.
and not even address you. And
Absolutely.
at the end, fail in grade, and that's it. So
That's why I went to 3 schools for the 9th grade. I had teachers like, oh, okay, you got so much to say. I'm going to have the final say.
That's
I
it.
got this F, Mr. Felton. Well, you was running your mouth. So, yeah. Because they didn't care. They was like, okay, you're going to do
Okay,
this all
I'ma
day
show
long.
you.
Yeah, that's deep.
Well, and I had a teacher a couple of years back that she was one of our Teacher of the Year teachers, and I had requested to be on her team so that I was working with her so I could learn from her. And that was one thing that she talked a lot about, was making that phone call ahead of time, or even writing just on a little note card, like a positive note home. The first...
Kids would love to give that
Yes,
to their
they
parents.
love it.
Yeah.
And they love knowing that they got that positive phone call home. And so not only does it affect your relationship with the parent, but it also helps enhance your
good.
relationship with the student. And that particular year that I was working with that teacher, we had one student on our team that he came from a really, really hard home life. And I noticed the first day that we were doing just an icebreaker, like a team building activity, and he was really engaged and involved. And I knew that that wasn't necessarily what other teachers had seen in the past from him. And so I immediately wrote that note and sent it home. And so I felt like I had him for a little while. And I will be very honest, it didn't last all year with him just because of so much of what he was continuing to go through, not just had gone through, but was continuing to go through.
Yeah.
And that teacher particularly said, August and September are some of my busiest days, and those are the days that I tend to stay late more often, because she makes a point to call home to each of those parents, every single parent on our team, to make that relationship. So the first phone call isn't a negative phone call, but it's some sort of a positive report.
That's good.
And so she says that, like, later on, you'll notice that toward the end of the year, which is when you end up making a lot of phone calls because they're starting to act up, or because you're having to make phone calls about students that are failing, she's not having to make as many of those phone calls because she did it in the beginning and she got those parents on board. And I think that that's so unbelievably important. And to be honest, I have adopted that, and I have learned that that is something. Yeah, August and September, I am making a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yeah.
But if I can from there continue to just drop little positive emails and notes here and there, then you truly do have them on your side. And so when it comes to parent-teacher conference, it's not this, hi, I'm Miss Rodriguez. It's so
Exactly.
nice to meet you for the
Right.
first
We
time. And I'm going to
Exactly.
sit here and tell you about how your child's failing my class and all
Right.
his other
Yes.
classes and how
Right.
he's a disruption in class. But it's, oh my gosh, it's so nice to finally meet you
Yes.
in person, face to
right.
face, and then you end up cutting up with the parents
Yes.
because
And
you got a
student,
relationship
the
with them.
student like,
Like,
man,
oh,
they
man.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to get it together.
This could go bad real fast.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, hey, Peter, so you see I sent that note home to your mama. Don't make me change the narrative.
I've done that one too, and I have one friend that will be like, got mom on speed dial, legit, and it's
Yeah.
like. And calling mom by first name too.
Oh.
That's the best.
Oh, yeah.
That's my
Like,
favorite.
do I need to call Sabrina?
Yes.
Do I need to?
That's my favorite.
That's
because
funny.
they're like, no, ma'am.
No, man, you're
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
I don't want
Real
no
fast.
problem. Right. So before we go to our rapid fire, I got a question for you.
Yep.
If you could change one thing in the educational system today, just one thing, if your president could call you up to the White House and say,
44?
and say, what's this one thing that you want me to, you know what I'm saying, before I leave office, what's this one thing that you want me to share? What would your response be?
Ooh, that's a big one. It burdens me that all across this nation that failing schools are often affiliated and associated with brown children that look like me. And so if I can make that change, I change that narrative. That
love it.
failing schools are typically our urban schools. And that narrative is just so problematic. And that's my big change. That's what I would love to change,
Yeah.
that narrative.
I love it. I love it. Good stuff.
I want to dig into that just real quick because I know we don't have much time left, but I think it's something that I've been searching in my heart a lot about recently. Do you have any thoughts on how some of that changes and how you would change that?
So there's so many layers to that. I mean, I don't think there's a one size fits all.
Yeah.
But I do think that it is important for those students to have people that look like them,
Agreed.
that understand their story. I'm noticing too many times in a lot of our Title I schools or failing schools that those teachers that do look like students, and not to add another layer, there are barely any males that look like them.
Right. That makes a difference
Agreed.
It
too.
makes a difference. And so, unfortunately, those teachers then become replaced with Caucasian teachers. And I'm not saying that Caucasian teachers can't love
No.
on our brown
Right,
babies and they wouldn't do an excellent job, but then there's a cultural disconnect.
Agreed.
There's that relatability that I think is lost. You know, they don't have that experience because of their privilege.
Yeah.
And they understand that life may have some hardships, but there are hardships for everyone. So I think for me, it would be truly making sure that we are recruiting sound, qualified
Yeah.
brown people that can pour into these
Yeah.
brown babies so they can see the potential and not just write them off. Because I believe I heard, you know, the narrative that I see is that, oh, these kids are emotional, EBD. So boom, they SST referrals are coming. I'm the person who's like,
Yeah.
let's talk about some interventions.
Right.
So tell me, what
Right.
have you done?
Right.
Yeah.
And then the teacher's looking at me like, well, what do you mean? He's, always acting up in class. You know?
Well, why?
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
why? Do
And
you
then
know the home
there you
issues?
go.
Do
There
you
you
know
go.
what's really going on underneath with them?
Absolutely. So, it's like, well, he flicked me off. I might flick you off if you cut me off in traffic.
Right.
Does that mean that you put me on a
That's a
504
word.
plan? I mean,
That's
you know
a
what I'm saying?
word.
So it's like, why are we writing these kids off? So when you
Yeah.
think about that,
Yeah.
be relatable. I
Yeah.
can come into the classroom and say, now you know better.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, sit down and cut that out. And you're like, all right.
Right.
But then for someone else, his response may be different.
Absolutely.
He tries them. He punking you. And I have to tell teachers that sometimes. Yeah, he punking you.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I have to have that conversation with him. So I think we do need to start there.
Yeah.
Because I understand the potential in that kid and then have that conversation. And I think that training needs to happen. So those cultural responsiveness and sensitivities, that just needs to be day one. And
Yeah.
that probably needs to start in teacher education programs.
Agreed.
It can't start once you've hired that person
Right.
into your building. So we need to look at our colleges and universities and what that is looking like
Agreed.
to be able to pour into those students.
Absolutely.
And I think though that could be beautiful for us moving forward for teachers that are already in the building, for us to have staff developments over this social and emotional learning that's going on and some of the responses and learning about different cultures of students. And that was what one teacher that we've had on said, that they want to learn more about the cultures of other students. And I think that that's so important for us to learn. And it was something that I learned in my ESOL endorsement class, is to learn about their cultures and who they are and what their home life looks like.
Go
Absolutely.
deeper than just the foods and the music and the dance.
Yeah.
Get into some real culture learning.
History.
Right.
Yeah, at that point.
Absolutely. That's rich.
That was, thank you. Sorry. I just
Yes.
wanted to dig a little bit further into that because, to be honest, that's something that I am working on as a teacher as well.
Absolutely. And I think that it brings us back to connection.
Yeah.
Because once you do that research, once you ask the right questions, you have a better connection. And because I'm able to better connect with you, now I'm better to ever teach you. I know what adjustments to make in my methodology and my systems and my practice to be able to have that better connection so that you can grasp the knowledge that you're here to grasp. At the end of the day, that's what we're here to give you. It's knowledge, but there's some stuff in here that we're working on. And I don't know last time y'all went to the doctor, but when I go to the doctor, they're asking me, are there any pre-existing conditions? Are you allergic to anything? You know what I'm saying? They have series of questions before they can treat what's going on inside me. And I think if we have that same mindset in the classroom, that's where power can really take place.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So we're going to do some...
Lightning round, yeah?
Lightning round.
My turn.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, give me my timer. Okay, so this is probably one of my favorite rounds. It is our rapid fire. And so you're just going to answer these questions as quickly as possible, and we're just going to go through. And it's just fun and lighthearted. It is nothing serious, unless you answer wrong, of course.
Right. No pressure.
No pressure. We'll edit that part.
Which we know that, like, Ryan, or if you don't answer, like when Ryan Manning didn't answer that one question, which I'm still waiting for the answer on, you know who his favorite is. It's fine.
That's funny.
All
60
right.
seconds. You ready?
Okay, ready.
Here we go.
Go.
All right, favorite movie?
John Q.
Ooh, okay. What's your favorite 90s jam?
Let's chill.
Classic.
All right, Apple or PC?
PC.
Ooh, I knew that one was going to hurt him. Breathe. It's okay. Savory or sweet?
Savory.
All right. Christmas or your birthday? Which one has to go?
Has to go.
Has to go.
Lord. Christmas.
That's right. Because if not, you would just disappear. Because you know
That's what everyone has said. Okay. Which one has to go? Twitter or Instagram?
Oh, Lord. IG.
Ah.
Wow.
Okay. Which one has to go? Cake or ice cream?
Cake.
Okay.
That's deep.
And which one has to go? Ketchup or mayo?
Mayo.
Nice. Favorite sports team?
Miami Heat.
Ooh.
She is a Miami
Just
girl.
like that.
Yeah.
Timer. Good stuff. Man, Val, it has been a pleasure
Yeah.
and an
Pleasure's all
honor
mine.
having you with us today. This was good.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I feel like I have grown and learned so much and want to continue to dig deeper with you, to be honest, because the wisdom and the knowledge and just so much of the heart that you have for this profession, I just see it oozing out of you, and I appreciate that so much.
Yes.
So thank you for loving
Yep.
your teachers and your students, and loving us
Yep.
and our listeners, and just giving to us.
Yep, absolutely. And all of our listeners, if you love us, leave a review. We would appreciate that 5-star rating. Let us know how we're doing, and we'll continue to drop these episodes. Have a good one. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.